All right, and we're back. Get your phone calls ready, 502-276-2118. Dr. Eli Karam is in the house right now, our relationship expert, taking your calls.
And since my nephew and niece got married this weekend, they're starting out a whole new level of the dynamic of the relationship, the courting and the marriage and everything else. And it seems a lot of times that the fun ends when the marriage license is signed. What is that all about?
Now. That's right.
What did
the
we
real
just
work.
do?
This idea, but hopefully your nephew and your new niece have done the groundwork and they've talked about what it's going to be like. And if not, they know where to go to learn the skills.
Exactly. Well, like we talked about at our friend's wedding a couple of weeks ago, our friends Natalie and Dana got married, and they said they wanted to have a party where a wedding broke out.
And they did.
And that's exactly what this weekend was like, too. It was a party all weekend.
In Somerset.
Yeah, in Somerset. And I tell you, Somerset's my new vacation destination. Every young couple should go there. Every person needing relationship time should go to Somerset because there's absolute freedom to do whatever you want.
No oasis in the country.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Las Vegas is my new destination because I went over the weekend and there's a little bit of sin going on.
Was there?
Not for me, but for other people.
Right.
Did you? I hope none of that was documented on
None of
Facebook.
that was documented.
I bet there are pictures somewhere.
Listen, I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
But
Look at the look on her face. She looks
I know,
so
it seems like there's some follow-up questions.
I think so too. Let's
at
talk
all.
a little bit about what Dr. Eli Karam does, because he knows sin when he sees it. He has to hear about it all the time. He's the assistant professor at the Kent School of Social Work, tremendous guidance person for not only the young folks who are training to become marriage and family therapists, but also he's the president-elect for the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy and provides individual, couple, and family therapy. You can email your questions in now at elikaram.com. Or you can call us at 276-2118 really on the air live. We're going to answer your questions. Here's his telephone number as well. But, you know, Dr. Eli, probably one of the biggest things that has taken over the world right now is online dating. Isn't that a scary thought?
Well,
very true.
Scary, I think, depending how you look at it. But, you know, we have some tips for you like we always do. And I think the first important thing is if you were going to do this, much like you wouldn't expect to go out on the dating market and find your love match immediately.
Yes.
Some people say, oh, I tried it. Yeah, I tried it for a month and I got burned. But the idea is you want to be able to commit, you know, anywhere from 6 months to a year. And all services are different. Usually you pay what you get for. So I'm not here to endorse any specific service. But you should ask yourself, how am I picking this? So many will match you on personality profiles. Others will match you on types of shared activities, but you want to find what's right for you. Others will find based on what you're looking for. Some people just want to meet to hook up in some type of physical encounter, and probably if you're looking for a love match, that is probably not what you're looking for. Another tip is you got to be a good communicator, written to do this, because you know you have to follow the safety rules, and a lot of it is getting to know people on your own pace, sending text or sending messages, sending emails. So you should be a good written communicator, and you should also not give too much information too soon. Follow those safety rules.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'd want to meet somebody that I just met online in person. I think that's a huge scare. It's just a bad situation to put yourself in. And certainly don't go anywhere where you're not safe and you're not protected. Meet in a public place.
I think a lot of people like online dating because they can control that.
That's true.
Tara and Becca, they know they can feel safe about the person. They could correspond through months of kind of written correspondence, even before they give out their phone number or decide to meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, and then one thing that was brought up at Vegas, one of my friends, she met a guy, and, you know, under platonic circumstances.
Wait a minute, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
No, I just have a question. It's nothing outing anyone, but he said, you know, look me up on Facebook. They just met, and she looked him up, and so that's also, I think, a pretty safe way of kind of getting to know somebody, and you know, you can see what you can see on there, but it's still kind of a way, I think, to kind of get to know somebody with not taking, you know, the dating route in the restaurant and that kind of thing.
Right.
And another reason to post recent photos.
Yeah, have you ever logged on there and you see something that is completely out of date? It's a very nice picture, but it's not current, which goes along with our rules of, you know, being transparent.
Right.
Don't lie or misrepresent. This is someone that you're going to get to know, so you should be honest with yourself first before you can be honest with other people. So if you're doing this to kind of create some online persona or some fictional character that's not really you, probably not good. Might get you some thrill of interacting with people, but if the goal is to actually meet someone and have a relationship, you know, you want to be transparent and honest.
Here's the key. avoid married people.
Yes.
Well, that kind of should go
That's
without saying.
duh.
A lot of people, no, a lot of people just go, I don't care. Well, you should.
You should
because
care.
they're married
If
to
you don't
somebody
care,
else.
call us right now and we'll tell you why you should care. 276-2118. Going back to something you just said for a real quick second. I think, you know, several years ago when writing letters and that kind of thing was, I think, understood and people did it. And now, like texting. I mean, we've talked about this time and time again. So I think a little bit of both, you know, a little bit of the new technology and a little bit of still putting yourself out there and in words.
Sure, and I think you learn a lot about somebody.
Time for that.
And if you're going to have a relationship, certainly if it's not based on face-to-face, you want to be able to convey yourself, your feelings through written word. And if you can't do that, especially if that's something you're looking for, somebody that is a good communicator. And
that's a whole nother segment.
That's right. You can't do that if you can't, you know, put it down on paper.
Do you have time to stick around for another segment?
Do.
Okay, because we really have more information than we can cram into one segment today. 276-2118 is the number to dial. If you have relationship questions for Dr. Eli, we've got some emails coming up as well, and we'll talk to him more about tips for just living right and finding the person that you want to love for the rest of your life, hopefully.
Making the family happy. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Yay! Dr. Eli Part 2.
I like that.
We had so much to talk about with Dr. Eli today. We asked him to stay over for a spare session, spare therapy session on WBKI's time.
And talking about a lot of different topics. We're talking about online dating before the break.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're, because we think about, this negative stigma. I was like, I must be desperate if I'm doing online dating. But we find, more young people are doing it, and people that have been around the block, so to speak, once that have maybe gotten out of relationships or starting again doing
my parents were married and then they got divorced, and my mom went online and she met my stepfather there. And he had said he had met several people, and it's just a different avenue. It's just a different way to do it, and they're still together and it was successful. And I think they hit a lot of your tips. They talked to each other. It was safe at first, and she didn't give her last name, and they met at the first location, and started it all on the right foot, I think.
Yeah.
And when we find, a lot of the research says that people will publicly say, I'd never do that, no way. They find out, especially in the last decade, more and more people are doing it and having success, and it's after the fact they say, I tried that, and I met this person and this person, and I learned a lot about myself in the process. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. Texting and online communication, Facebook, Match.coms, whatever they are, is just the norm now. Yep. It's part of our lexicon. It's like Facebook me, text me. That's how people communicate more effectively. And here's a particular situation that's come up within a family where they actually need to talk face to face about this. Let's make a quick switch here. My husband's parents always go on vacation with their children, Dr. Eli. Recently they've offered to go with me, my husband, and our 5-year-old twins on our summer vacation to the beach in North Carolina.
Interesting.
I don't get that much time away from work, and I was really hoping to have the time alone with my husband and kids. How can I tell my in-laws this without offending them? This is from Aaron.
Aaron, this is a really good question,
yes.
I think, especially around, it's summertime, we go on trips, and it kind of exploits the boundary we have between the family that we created, what we call the family of procreation, and the family we come from, our family of origin. So your in-laws, they're trying to do a good thing here. They want to spend time with you and your family, your husband's family, but at the same time, it sounds like you really want some time alone with your own family. So I think what we do here, we have to honor the intent.
Okay.
So you talk to your husband, and you and your husband together, your husband alone says, Mom and Dad, thanks a lot, but we really had this trip planned. We're excited about it. We don't get to see our kids that much. We're working so hard. So even though you can't go on this one with us, why don't we plan something in the future, or give them some options?
Yes.
If you give people options, they don't feel like you're excluding them or left in the cold. So we already had this plan, but pick A, B, or C in the future. So that honors both. And what we do with a lot of families in any type of close relationship, you want to honor the intent under the action. Meaning, most people care about you. They're not trying to screw you over. There's some good reason they're acting like they are. So you want to find out what the understandable part is the honorable intent under that. And when you can do that, it makes it easier to talk to those other people and say, hey, look, we know you cared about us, we know you want to spend time with us, but let's do it this way instead.
Maybe they thought that they'd be a built-in babysitter, so then they could go out.
But, well, there is a plan to that. And I know we went on a big trip to Disney spring break, and we took my in-laws, that are very active in my life and with my wife, and that's a good thing. But we all went together, and the advantage of doing that is you do have a built-in babysitter, so you can have, you can go out with your spouse or your partner and have your kids taken care of. So that can be a both and.
I love that.
So it can work. Yeah, good point.
Interesting.
Completely changing the subject, this email is important because I think it's something we're all concerned about right now. I'm exploring medication versus talk therapy. What's your opinion on taking medication to cope with my anxiety and depression about relationships? Eli, you've said so many times it's a comprehensive thing. You take medicine and you go to talk therapy.
Right, yeah. It is a good one. It's a question we get asked a lot. Some people still believe there is a magic pill.
There isn't.
And there is not a magic pill. That being said, I mean, family therapists, marriage and family therapists like myself believe in kind of the health premise that people are basically good but stuck. One of the ways we get stuck, guys, is if we have a biological disposition to something.
Sure.
Which means we could very well have a biological disposition, especially towards depression.
Yes.
So just like, if I had an infection and I needed to take an antibiotic for it, I would take it. Same thing with being depressed. Sometimes, when there is a biological base, you need the proper medication to be able to have the emotional space, to be able to do the work, learn the cognitive and behavioral skills that are part of the talk therapy. So I would say if you are that way, or you think you might have had a history of depression or just getting stuck in general without any kind of identifiable stressor out there, I would go see your doctor, a psychiatrist, get a consult, and any good psychiatrist or family doc is going to be able to collaboratively work with a marriage and family therapist, and that's really what you want. So a lot of the cases a marriage and family therapist sees, they are doing active treatment planning with a doctor. So long story short, combination of both, and a lot of research shows that is the way to go to, combining talk therapy with the proper medication if you have a biological base for that.
Absolutely. Wow. Dr. Eli Karam, he is the relationship counselor.
He really is.
All you have to do
more information is call us 749-8825, elikaram.com. Now, can they send you emails on there?
They can send go to the website or info@elikaram.com. That's Karam. Easiest thing to do. We'll answer it on the show. You can go to the website, get lots of advice, and see all their past clips of Rule Alive This Morning.
I love it.
Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Eli.
See you guys next week.
Hey, you're going to talk to Chris Caswell.
I am. I'm going to ask him what it takes to make a room look fabulous. And give me all his secrets.